Hello everybody, I've got something a little bit fun and a little bit silly today. I have aggregated a whole bunch of Booker Prize predictions from all over the internet, booktube, Instagram, various book forums, various articles that are online from book critics. I put them all into a big spreadsheet. There's over 100 different Booker predictions in there, and what I'm doing is I'm going to reveal the aggregate Booker dozen from the entire internet. Now, I'm just one voice in a myriad of voices here, so if you disagree with this Booker dozen, you're welcome to, because you're disagreeing with the majority of people, which we all know that the majority of people are going to be a little bit wrong, aren't we? Hence, democracy's broken. Anyway, what we're going to do that's a little bit fun is, once I do the little countdown, we're going to see if the average Booker punter is better than just pure pot luck. And we're going to see what a random wheel generator picks. And we're going to see who's better, and we'll know at about this time tomorrow as to what the actual Booker dozen is. So without any further babbling and talking nonsense, let's get into the average predictions online. And the 13th most predicted book was Theft by Abdulrazak Gurna. Gurna won the Nobel Prize for Literature in, I think it was 2021. It might have been a little bit more recent than that. Time's a bit fuzzy at the moment, who knows. But anyway, Nobel laureate, writing his first book since he won the Nobel Prize, and that is a pretty solid suggestion right there. Not read it, can't have a bit of a reaction to that, but based on who he is, I think that's pretty sensible. And number 12 is The Girl Who Grew Big by Layla Motley. I have read this book. I quite like this book. Is it as good as Motley's last book? Not sure it is, but she's clearly a very talented author, and I would be quite happy for this to make the Booker dozen. The 11th most popular book everybody has predicted is The Book of Records by Madeline Tyne. Tyne's last book was Booker shortlisted. A Canadian author, very divisive, not my cup of tea, this lady, but I know other people completely love her, so I'll be hoping that you're wrong, internet. Rounding out the top 10 in the popular votes is The City Changes Its Face by Emma McBride. I think that's a pretty solid choice. McBride, real quality author, made my predictions. Would be very unsurprised to see Emma McBride there. And number 9, The Dream Hotel by Layla Lalame. That would interestingly mean we have two authors called Layla on the long list, which would be cool. This is also one I predicted, one I'd be very happy to see. One of my least confident predictions, but I am delighted to see that a lot of people agree with me, so maybe I should be more confident with that one. And number 8 is Flesh by David Sasley. I read this one recently. I haven't reviewed it yet. I don't think it's a bad book, but I don't think it's good enough to make the Booker long list. It's a bit too minimalist, and I'll be surprised to see this make it. I thought it was, I just didn't think it had the depth to make a book prize long list. The 7th most popular pick is Helm by Sarah Hall. I think Sarah Hall is an author that a lot of people have been sleeping on for many years, and so to see her so high up in the recognition of who might make the Booker long list is a delight, really. She's a quality author. Number 6 is Our Evenings by Alan Hollinghurst. Alan Hollinghurst won the Booker Prize in 2004, and I think that is a sort of a very safe prediction. Another one I haven't read, but when somebody wins the Booker Prize, you have to think that they're a good chance of making it. Interestingly, the top 5 most predicted authors are all women. And moving on to 5th is Ripeness by Sarah Moss. This is another one I've read recently. I would be completely unsurprised to see this make the long list too. I'd also be completely unsurprised if it didn't make the long list. So it is one of those books where if you see it, it just sort of fits, but it's not a must-have. At number 4 is Auditions by Katie Kitamura. Roddy Doyle has praised Kitamura as an author. I think when we look at the judging panel, we're probably expecting a little bit more plot and character and a little less themes and literary devices. And so I think Auditions by Katie Kitamura is really getting a bit of a run because it is that sort of more traditional literary book that we're more used to on the Booker Prize, rather than a lot of what is being put forward, which is very character based, which is not to say that either of them is a better or a worse form of fiction. I think that they're two different sides of literary fiction, and you can have your preference for one or the other, and actually I think good literary fiction does both. But Kitamura definitely more of an ideas author, and with praise from Roddy Doyle, really unsurprising. I predicted this. I'm surprised to see it so high, and I'm quite delighted to see that Katie Kitamura is getting a little bit of love within the bookish world. Now, before I reveal my top three, I just want to thank my wonderful patrons for their support. Give them a big shout out and say that you can support this channel too if you so wish. And as our collective Patreon book club, we are reading one of the 13 books on this Booker long list that the internet is predicting. But it's not the number 3 book. That is We Pretty Pieces of Flesh by Colwell Brown. I think that this is an exquisite novel. I would be unsurprised if this won the Booker Prize. This is an author who has just sort of appeared and is doing a lot of good stuff. And number 2, this has sort of really come along. Like I didn't think it was getting that much love, and then suddenly everybody's predicting this. Endling by Maria Riva. This is the novel I alluded to as to my Patreon book club, a Canadian-Ukrainian novel about endangered snails and the mail-order bride industry and the war in Ukraine meshed into a bizarre novel. I am reading this book at the moment. I have enjoyed the first half more than the second half of the book, but based on what I've read so far, which is I'm still holding out quite a lot of judgment on this book because I want to see where it goes and what it does. I would be thoroughly unsurprised to see this one on the long list. I think that this is I think there's a lot of good writing in this book so far from what I've read. So I hope to finish that up before the long list is announced. So right or wrong, I'll have that one out of the way, which just leaves the number 1 most predicted book. And I think it's really not a surprise when a debut author gets a shout out from the head judge of the Booker Prize, Roddy Doyle, and they just write such a universally loved and magnificent book. And I'm talking about Nesting by Roshan O'Donnell. I don't think anybody's too shocked to see that is the most predicted book by everybody here. Yeah, and a book that I think nobody will be surprised to see make the long list. I think it'll be much more surprising if Nesting misses out. Just a wonderful book. My personal opinion is that if that book misses the long list, I will be most shocked. I'll be more shocked than any other book that we have mentioned so far. I cannot see it missing, and if it does miss, I'm going to be a little bit annoyed at the judges, or a little bit hopeful that the other books are even better. Anyway, let's go along and do the fun part of this video, and let's see what our magical wheel spinner will predict. I've just used the list on Goodreads because it's a really, really good resource for this. So thank you to the team of people that put that together. Okay, let's see the first book that the wheel generator is going to predict. I'm kind of excited. We could have anything here. What are we going to get? We're going to get... What is it? Misinterpretation. Oh, I have read that book recently, and I would be more than a little bit surprised if it did make the Booker long list, I have to say. Very risky first choice, Wheel. Alright, let's see if we're going to get... Are we going to get something a bit safer? What have we got? We have Helm by Sarah Hall. Well, the wheel and the internet agree. I think that one is sort of firming up in a lot of people's minds as a long list a strong long list contender. What do we got? It is Catalina. This would be a bit of an interesting one. I think this one made the National Book Awards, so that would be, and it's a good book. Probably not the most bookerish of books out there, but a good book, and not a big surprise if it makes it, but a little bit of a surprise. Book number 4 is I'm just not recording that part of the screen. What We Tried to Bury Grows. I have to be honest, I know nothing about this book at all, so I'd be delighted if the wheel was right on this one, because that's a book I would read that I have no thoughts about going into, which is kind of refreshing sometimes. Okay, it's been a strange long list so far. What are we going to get? The Pretender by Joe Harkin. This is a bit of historical fiction that I could definitely see that making the long list if it sort of adds a bit of balance, especially if you want to have a little bit more brainy literary stuff. You could definitely add that to the long list to even things out. Anyway, what are we getting this time? We have... Is that The Emperor? No, it is... It is Migraines by Samuel Fisher. Again, this is another one I've not heard of, so I would be down for that one to make the long list too. Not a lot of big names so far. Our Beautiful Boys by Samir Pandya. Another book I know nothing about. It sounds like we might have an author of some sort of South Asian background, which is always good. And this time we've got Once the Deed is Done. I don't know anything about this book too. I feel like I should know a little bit about Rachel Seifert, but I'm shamefully ignorant of who she is. So quite an interesting little long list so far. Disappoint Me by Nicola Dunnan. I would love to see this on the long list. I read it. I enjoyed reading it. I don't think it'll make the long list, but I would be delighted to be wrong. I'm not predicting it won't make the long list because it's not good enough. I'm predicting it won't make the long list because I think it's the wrong sort of book in my opinion, really. But often we make mistakes because of our predilections about the Booker Prize. And we have Nova Scotia House by Charlie Porter. Yeah, I'd be really happy to see that. I haven't read that there, but a novel about a age gap gay couple where the older person is dying. That's my jam. It's a book I'll be reading later in the year, regardless of its Booker status. 3 to go. What have we got now? We have A New Me by Helen Oniyeme. Well, I would be very upset to see that long listed. I do not get along with the bizarre, surreal world that Helen Oniyeme writes, and I suspect that once you've read about half a chapter of Helen Oniyeme, you either love her work or you hate it. And no shame either way, really. Number 12 is Confessions by Catherine Airy. This got quite a bit of buzz earlier in the year. I didn't think it was really that good, to be honest, but a lot of people disagree with me. So happy for people to disagree with me. This is a weird long list, I feel. What is our bonus Booker book? The Booker dozen of 13 is completed with... Is it The Wardrobe Department? No, it's The Rest of Our Lives by Benjamin Markovitz. Another one I don't know anything about. So let's have a look. Misinterpretation, Helm, Catalina, What We Tried to Bury Grows, The Pretenders, Migraines, Our Beautiful Boys, Once the Deed is Done, Disappoint Me, Nova Scotia House, A New Me, Confessions, and the rest of our lives. That does not feel like a Booker dozen, I have to say. That is a very out there dozen. But if that was the Booker dozen, I would be quite excited, because I have read 3 of those books, which is surprisingly low. I would expect to have read about half the Booker long list when it is announced. So to have only read 3 makes it makes it a little bit hard for me to draw a bit of a conclusion on that. Sorry, I've read four. But still, nonetheless, this would be very exciting, because it would give me a lot of books that are not on my radar to read, that I know very little about. I probably read the descriptions for a lot of these books when I was doing a video along the lines of what's coming next year, or my Booker prediction videos, but they haven't stuck. And sometimes the description of a book can be terrible and the contents of a book can be amazing. You never know with a description, do you? Just one in common with what the greater internet says. Let's see if the greater internet has any predictive powers at all, or if it's just randomly throwing darts at a wheel like this. That would be interesting. Okay, well, it's been fun, it's been silly. I hope you've all had a bit of a good time, and I look forward to reacting to the Booker Prize long list tomorrow evening. It's coming out at 11 p.m. Melbourne time for me. So if you're on the east coast of Australia, you've got to stay up late. If you're in the UK, it's coming out at 2 p.m. at your time. And if you're anywhere else in the world, I'm sure you know how to convert times. At least I hope you do, because I'm not going to do that for everybody. Anyway, this is why I script videos normally and don't just film off the cuff, because I've been talking in circles. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye bye.